blame for this? Is this some kind of foul play, or should we hold our security personnel, the police, accountable for this?
Two suspects escaped from police custody in Esiwa in the Ashanti region. The suspects are alleged to have sawed through the iron bars with hacksaw blades they'd smuggled into the cell. It is the third reported cell break in a month. Two suspected criminals also escaped from police custody in Tepa, in the Ahafua North District of the Ashanti region. A 10-day ultimatum was issued to two police officers who were on duty at the time the cell break occurred. The officers are to produce the escapees or face the full wrath of the law. On Friday, March 13, 7 suspects in a Denu cell in the Volta region escaped after overpowering the police officers on duty, making away with 2 AK-47 rifles from the police armory. Following the incident, angry residents of Denu protested, blocking roads. The residents who went on demonstration believed their lives were at risk. Are these cell breaks related to foul play or sloppy policing? And can residents in these areas take on the police for breach of security?
Right, so this morning we are looking at cell breaks, which is becoming rampant, if I may say so, in recent times. And is it as a result of poor policing, and exactly what can we, or what options are available to us as residents? This morning I have in the studio with me Bobby Banton. He's a legal practitioner from Menka Premo, and he will share some more light about these recent jailbreaks. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing, Bobby?
Good, yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen you this year, have I?
Oh, you have.
I have? Oh, okay. All right. So we are talking cell breaks. It's become very, very worrying. And who should we place the blame on? Who can we hold responsible for these recent cell breaks?
I mean, in the administration of justice, there are several institutions that play roles. This is a typical example of what the lawyers will call the thing speaks for itself. These are people who have been put on remand or put behind bars after going through a lawful process by a court. And all of these cell breaks had not taken place in prison custody. They rather taken place in police custody.
Okay.
So obviously, once they were put in the hands of the police to be reproduced before court on a certain day, then obviously if there is a jailbreak, then it is the police that must be held responsible.
Okay, so is there any charge or anything that we can bring against the police for neglecting their duties, if I may say, put it in that way? As
private individuals, it will be difficult to have a cause of action because it is the state that has suffered. You know, in criminal matters, it is the interest of the state that is being protected, not even the victim.
I understand where you're going, but what about, let's say, residents of the society, or let's even say certain witnesses who testified against that particular escapee? Shouldn't they have a cause for action?
No, unfortunately, no. The law, as we have it, does not make any provision for private remedies in criminal actions. There again, it's the state that has an interest that seeks to be protected. If there's anything at all that could be meted out, it should be an internal disciplinary procedures by the Ghana Police Service, and I believe they have some structures to deal with such matters.
So is there anything available to residents in a certain community at all? Let's say in the community where the jailbreak took place, maybe residents who fear for their lives and things like that, who are thinking maybe some of these escaped criminals would be, loitering or living amongst them. Is there anything at all that they can do?
Yes, as a citizen, the Constitution enjoins us to put in our efforts to make sure that we maintain law and order. And so if we believe that these escapees are around our communities, instead of making all the noise and everything, I believe putting together a small watchdog because it's happened so many times in this country where we would have residents of towns where people have jailbreaks have gone on, actually going on to arrest these criminals and bringing them back to the police. And I believe that if there is anything that is expected of the citizenry, then it is an attempt to make sure that these jailbreakers who hide, because they have families, they don't hide on trees, they live in homes. We have people who would assist to bring them back to lawful custody.
Okay, so we should just be vigilant and watchful.
I believe we will not have any cause of action properly so-called. Okay. We can have demonstrations to put the police on their toes, but truly and effectively what we can do to assist is to bring these people back by reporting when we cite them.
Right. Now, speaking about putting the police on their toes, for those policemen who were on duty, let's take maybe Denu for instance, the policemen who were on duty at that time when this cell break occurred, what kind of action will the state take against them? And to the best of your knowledge, have they taken any action against them?
Yes, we've had the police administration giving them ultimatums to produce.
Ultimatum? Is that good enough?
I don't see how that will be effective, because if the people have broken jail, then prima facie what it means is that they can't be found, and to give the police officers 10 days ultimatum presupposes that they know exactly where these people are. They can go and bring them.
So that is a bit unfair.
I think so. Be that as it may, I think the best thing for them is to institute internal investigations to make sure whether or not there was a breach of any station rules, there was any negligence on any part, because I believe that they are supposed to have a certain number of police officers within a particular time at the station, and if that fell short, then whoever would be responsible in the chain command would be held responsible, and then they can go through their internal.
Do you know the nature of this ultimatum? Is it produce them, or you
we
lose
heard
your job,
from the
or
news.
what exactly?
I think the first thing was for them to produce them, failing which they will take the necessary action.
What is that necessary action?
I want to guess it to be instituting internal investigative mechanisms to find out whether who was responsible, who breached any. For instance, in one of the instances, we were told that people actually smuggled, salts into the station. From my experience, when you go to the police station, you are even given certain centimeters or meters from the cell. You are not allowed to have one-on-one, discussions with an inmate, unless, of course, you're a lawyer and your client is behind bars. And so for them to be able to have access to those tools in cells leaves much to be desired. Somebody was definitely sleeping on the job.
Okay. So for such policemen, if they are found to have been responsible or to be blamed, what kind of action would be taken against them?
I think the Police Service Act lays down these sanctions. Could range from
There's
suspension.
a process.
There's a process. Suspension, dismissal, may deem fit.
Okay. Now we also heard that residents in, I believe, is it Denu, also went on a demonstration against the police force over there. Is that their rights? Can you do that?
Yes, the Constitution, the Public Order Act, enjoins or gives all citizenry the right to demonstrate, so far as they apply to the police and get the necessary police clearance. And so far as they have not gone beyond the ambit of that right, I think what they did was in the right direction. And then, it made enough noise for the police to know that something had gone wrong. Okay. And they are the ones who will be affected eventually. And so what they did,
they have every right to do that.
They have every right.
Is there anything like suing the police for breach of security or anything? Can an individual or a resident in these areas sue the police for breach of security? Because the police are there to protect them. So if there's been some kind of breach, will they be able to sue?
Anybody who can sue the police successfully would be able to show that he or she has directly suffered from the negligence of a police officer, and then you would have a cause of action. Now, if it's a community and they want to bring a class action, then they must be able to prove that they have directly suffered. In this instance, there's no such evidence, and it will be very difficult to prove. But even if you are attacked by somebody, you will not be able to know whether this person who attacked me broke from police cells. That's to go through another process of a criminal trial to be able to identify. So it will be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to have a cause of action against the police service as a result of these jailbreaks. Okay.
Now, before these recent ones, we hadn't really heard of any jailbreaks. What do you think is causing the sudden rise of cell breaks all of a sudden?
I would not want to hazard a guess, but definitely there are loopholes in the system. Criminals or people behind bars are beginning to identify these loopholes, and then they are taking advantage of them.
More intelligent and more sophisticated.
Maybe yes, and they are taking advantage of these loopholes. Okay. And we must set up as a nation to be able to stop these things, because for 3 or 4 jailbreaks in a month really emboldens other criminals in other cells. And a place like Denu is not, a village, for lack of a better word. And if criminals are able to break jail there, then you and I can think of a place where there are no lights and people have been sent behind bars. Then when they hear such news, they'll be emboldened to also follow suit, especially when these people are not arrested and brought back to lawful custody.
Okay, thank you very much for your time this morning. Bobby Banton is a legal practitioner with Menka Premo and Associates, and he joined us this morning to talk about the recent rise in cell breaks across the country. 4 have been reported so far in just under a month. So it is very prudent for us as residents and citizens to be very watchful and vigilant. And of course, if you see any suspicious activities in your neighborhood, do well to report to the police.